running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. How's everybody doing out there on this Monday, January 13th, 2025, episode number 122? Hyatt, what is up?
I did something today that I didn't think I would ever be able to do ever again.
Is
I
it
went,
appropriate for this podcast?
yeah. Everything that I do is appropriate for this podcast, sir. I went on a run today on the treadmill and I ran my last mile in under 7 minutes. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do that again. So I am slowly starting to feel better running again. And I forgot how amazing you feel after going for a run. I think I just forgot because I was just, so out of shape that I forgot how, but what a feeling, man, to be able
So the
to
question is,
get
are
back
you
from those things.
sitting in your final resting place of the night after doing that? Are your legs falling off? How
No,
are they
I
feeling?
I was able to actually get off of the treadmill and walk, and I was
Did you
fine.
forget about the treadmill, like the mini treadmill
Oh,
wobble
I did.
though, when you have to the worst part about a
Yeah.
treadmill,
It
and the
took me
thing
a
is, like,
while.
for me, it's like, okay, the pounding sucks. You can't really simulate a road perfectly, but it's good for what it is, right?
Sure.
But then when you get off, like you can walk and do whatever you want to try and like bring the
No.
legs back. But the moment you step back on a solid ground, it's like, whoa.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like getting off of a boat. It really is. It's like going from a boat onto dry land again. It's
It
such a
is.
weird feeling.
But
If you've never experienced it, you don't have to. Don't try.
the journey back has been fun,
Yeah.
and it's good to actually take the advice that you give as a coach. Start off slow, progress, and not just try to get back to where you are when you were 18 years old. So I'm
And the
finally
quick tip
taking
that
my own advice, and I'm not getting hurt because I'm doing it smart.
And the quick thing I have to say is, I give credit to this podcast because I don't know if me and you would either of us would have. I've skinnied out a little bit. I'm eating
No,
better.
I
I'm working out again. You've
no.
lost a ton of weight. You're starting to really work out. I don't think me or you would have,
No.
thought about doing this if it wasn't for some of the inspirational people
I
that we've
think
had on
it's
the show that have motivated us. It's crazy.
that, and I think just being back into coaching, talking to some of my old friends. Like I always felt that I can coach better when I'm at least somewhat active myself, and
Yeah.
that there is no correlation with that being any factual whatsoever. It's just kind of how I feel.
But all right, so let's get into the fun
Yeah, man,
stuff.
let's do it.
Wherever you're watching from, whether it is YouTube, Facebook, X, we appreciate you all. But you know what? Don't be a freeloader, darn it. Subscribe. Do what you got to do there. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Repost on X, and give us a follow there. And if you're on Facebook, share and follow. And let everyone know best track show in the world is right here.
And
Um,
where else will you find a Valentine's tree?
that is adorable. Yeah, it says
Yeah,
love back there, and that's
that is
all
our
we are about
Valentine's
is love.
tree. We,
I
we
do
you
like
know,
that. You're gonna keep the tree there forever and just decorate it for each season?
I can't take any credit for any of the decorating, but I
You
think
you
it's
need to.
cool.
The fiance isn't here. It's all you. It's all you. When she's not there, it's all you. But all right, so if you want to find us anywhere on the socials, just go search Talking in Ovals. We are everywhere under that name. So last week we had a fantastic show. We had Greg Kavazanjian. He was on, and it was a great show talking about his journey of the last 5 years because he
Wow.
didn't really jump into our sport until 5 years ago. He became a four-time Ironman, an ultra marathoner, and just an absolute inspirational story. So if you're looking to be inspired,
Yeah.
go listen to last week's show because it was amazing. But this week's show, we're kind of getting back to our roots. I want to feel a little bit because, we've done some like different things, but we started the show talking to the absolute best high school track and field cross country coaches in New Jersey. And I think we're adding to that today
Oh yeah.
because our guest today is another fantastic New Jersey XC track coach. He is Dan Rapcienski, the head track and field coach over at Monmouth Regional High School. Dan, what's up?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Of course.
We appreciate you jumping on. It's funny because Dave often talks about like when he goes to meets, he has like the blend of people that are like, oh, Coach Hyatt, what's up? And it's like, you host a podcast, don't you, with some others? So it's like, it's always interesting to know.
Trying to find that balance at a meet, because I'm always coach first now if I'm at a meet.
So, Coach, the question is, was he Hyatt the coach that you knew first, or was he the guy that does a podcast?
We go back. It was a couple years. When Prendergast was coaching with you, I just knew him from
Sure.
bouncing around,
Yeah.
Monmouth County, and I guess probably just I'm coaching with him now.
Yeah.
And then he said, he's Dave on the podcast. I said, yeah, I listened to a couple of the episodes already, so I knew your
We
voice
appreciate that.
prior to knowing you.
Sure.
But then I got to put the face to the name. when
Sorry
we got
about that.
together at meets. So
That's how we start the show, putting our guest right on the spot. How did you
yep,
meet our other guest, darn it?
there you go.
But all right, so before we get into all of the, good times and stuff, I am going to bring it down a little bit because we did have an incredibly impactful death in our community. We want to wish Alex Kemp, an eternal rest in peace. Far too young. Um, Freshman runner, had a standout cross country season, was an incredible runner at CBA, someone we talked about often last year, tragically passed away over the past week. And from everyone at Talking in Ovals, Dave and I, we just want to send our sincere condolences and prayers to family, to friends, to the CBA family, because, we've had Coach McCafferty on. We constantly talk about their successes. And I think Craig Engels put it the perfect way when he's like, we have to remember that they're still kids, that they're still people. And it's these types of moments that really bring that back. And it's just, we just want to send our heartfelt condolences and things like that to everyone affected there. And it's affected all of us.
Yeah.
It was, it's affected the whole entire New Jersey track and field, especially Monmouth and Ocean, because everyone knows CBA. So rest in peace, Alex Kemp. Way too young, way too soon. So Dave, do you have anything you want to jump in and add at all?
Nah, I just want to reiterate what you said. It's just, it's hard to fathom. When I heard, I was kind of just in shock, and
Yeah.
a couple of kids on my team, they were definitely affected by it. And you just try to be there for everybody that you can, who is going through something, and you just hope that people can find some sort of solace in all of this. So
Yeah, and Coach, word travels fast. Kind of where were you? And I feel like a lot of the athletes were the ones like kind of playing telephone at first and found out. So where were you when you kind of found this out? And obviously, probably a similar reaction to all of us.
Yeah, I mean, probably honestly scrolling through Instagram, I guess, and I saw, I don't know if it was like Cities Mag posted it, or FlowTrack or something. Quick read through the little blurb, and then I shot an email over to Sean, reached out to Carl, just, I mean,
Yeah.
these are kids,
Yeah.
and you think of it like we only get a little bit of time with them, and then they go off into the world. And you kind of want to hear about all those great things that they do, and this is not the things that you think about hearing after you send your kids off into the world. So it was pretty tough. And then we're pretty close to CBA. A lot of kids know each other. A lot of kids went to middle schools, grammar schools together.
Yeah.
So we talked about it with the team, and it's just being there for the kids that need it.
absolutely.
And and I just think like, what we do here at Talking in Ovals and what you guys do, over at Manasquan and at Monmouth, like I feel like Alex, I didn't know Alex at all. He had the greatest name of all time, but I did not know him. But I'd imagine he loved running like all of us did, and he would want Monmouth to continue competing, CBA to continue, and Manasquan, like and we're gonna continue to do what we do here, talk about track and field, but just know it comes in, especially in this episode, and probably for when we're talking about anything going on in college or high school with CBA, it's gonna come with a heavy heart. So we just wanted to get that out there. And so in the weirdest way possible, it always sucks having to do something because now we got to get back to a show, right? Like, so we're going to jump back into it and, push through because like I said, I feel like Alex Kemp would want us to keep talking about track and doing this type of thing. So let's jump back into it because we actually have a PR from a few weeks ago that I forgot to bring on the show last week. So January 3rd at, was it relays over there? Ocean County relays? It was a relay meet over
Yeah,
in
it was
Lovell.
Ocean County. Yeah.
Tom's River North. I love that on Instagram. They will tag us and share a bunch of like
all the
stories
time
with us.
Thank you, Tom.
All the time. And we freaking love it. So always continue to do that. But they share stories and then they go away. So it's like there's times where I want to like jump in and like give them shout outs and then it's gone. So I jumped on it this time and I was like, hey, give me names. I want to give you guys a shout out. And then like a jerk, I never did. So I'm doing it now. I'm going to remedy that. So they were monsters at the Ocean County Relays.
You think?
They ran a 28.88 shuttle hurdle. It was number one in USA at the time, and I believe still. And it was a state record. Incredible.
Bonkers, man.
And giving a shout out to the athletes that competed there on that team. So Cameron Thomas, JL Hester, Mordecai Ford, and I got a pronunciation. Thank you so much for this. Mamadi Diawara. And it says they included the pronunciation, but kudos and congrats to those four.
Yes.
To be able to put it together in that relay meet, which is kind of where you want to put together your early relays, do something great there. But man, shuttle hurdles isn't ran a ton. So to get it done there, like, we talked about Tom's River North just being a monster of a team, right? With Jim Lambert, and what a crew they are putting together. And congrats to that group. They are just fantastic.
Can I just add to that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know if you skim through the results of that meet.
They won by like 9 seconds.
I might be wrong, but they won. Their boys won, I think, every relay. I
Did
think.
they really? They're so
if
deep.
Not, it was almost every one of them. And I'm scrolling through. I'm like, Jesus. Like, so you talk about just a buzz. I mean,
it was
incredible.
They are loaded, But know, and what I love seeing there, which I wish we would see at more schools, is the apparent marriage between football and track. Like they're getting they have a great football team, and those kids are going off for track because they want to get faster and stronger. I wish we would see that at every school. There's a correlation between running track and playing football. You get stronger, you get faster. That's for sure. That they are absolute proof that that remedy works, along with wonderful coaching too. But I mean, like, you get kids out, and this is what happens.
I wish Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf would promote. I'm not even kidding. Would promote doing that more, because obviously those are two track stars, and I really hope that no one wants to trade for Tyreek and he retires and joins a Grand Slam league.
Yeah.
What do we think? Tyreek, retire and go join put your money where your mouth is. Join Grand Slam. Go run. I'm pretty sure MJ would make room for you at the 48. So. You'd be the 49th, but we can dream, right? But let's get into this episode, because Coach, we didn't just bring you here to talk about Tom's River North and PRs. We brought you here to talk about you. So like we do with all of our guests, we want to start off asking you, when did you begin your running journey? What was the spark that made you want to start to become a runner?
So I thought about this for a little bit, and I think, like many, 5'5", maybe like 100-pound kids in 7th and 8th grade, you go through little league and you go through PAL basketball, and you just don't see that really. It's not progressing anywhere, right? Yeah. So where I grew up, we didn't have middle schools. We had K through 8 schools, and we had like 14 of them. And we had no track programs or anything like that. We had once a year in 7th grade and 8th grade, you could do like the city track meet where you either ran 100, you did a 4x1, or you threw a shot. Like that was it. So they've seen me in person. I'm not a shot put kind of guy. And I thought, like everybody did, at least I think every young distance runner kid was like, I'm gonna be a sprinter because that's where you want to be. And so,
it's
you
like
think you're pretty
fast.
It's like
in
7th and 8th grade.
In baseball, it's like the home runs, the long ball gets the ladies, and track and field, it's 100 gets the ladies. So that's what it is.
Be cool. I'm gonna go be a sprinter. And so I thought, 7th and 8th grade, I was fast, and then I got to high school and missed an entire cross country season because that wasn't talked about. It wasn't a thing. I mean, there was a team, but I couldn't tell you who it was or how it worked.
You were a sprinter. Why would you run cross country?
Didn't even hear about it.
And the thing is, if you listen to our episode a few episodes ago with Lyle Smith, you would assume that every town has a cross-country running program from like the age of 4. And it's like, no, Lyle, you were lucky in Bernardsville. Like, none of us have that.
not in Bayonne. Not a chance. No. So, I remember I go, my first meets, we were only at the Armory. I mean, for forever and ever, maybe a little bit up in like Rockland Community College, but that was about it. And I'm like getting the doors blown off me in the 55 and the 400. It was like I was standing still. Went out in spring and started running with the distance group. And we used to run from our high school all the way up to the end of like a park, 30 blocks away, and you come back. And I was like, this is pretty, I could do this. So I kind of transitioned to that.
Sure.
Got put in my first mile in 9th grade in spring. And I think I ran something like 5:20, which in 1998, that was pretty. I was okay. I was like, I can do this.
That's impressive for your first mile.
I think so. Yeah,
I had a freshman miles. Really impressive.
I'm pretty confident that's what I think it was.
If I had a kid
from then on, I was like, this is my thing.
Listen, if I had a freshman come out spring track and just pop a 5:20 off of nothing,
now I would like that. Yeah,
I'd be very happy.
I'm looking at him going, okay, sub 5 in the next few meets, and then let's start talking about really running. Like, you're salivating.
Yeah, exactly. So it was about that. I mean, I had like a really good group of guys on our team that were into it. That's kind of what we did now year round. Like that was our thing. I mean, as much as it was going to be in the late '90s in the city, like
Yeah.
we weren't out going doing 10-mile runs ever. I mean, summer running
Right.
wasn't a thing, but
Yeah.
being into it as much as we could be. So, it was right
what-
around the time like the Prefontaine movies were coming out. We had like magazines you could get, things like that, just kind of
And the
hooked you.
thing is, like, there, you kind of cross trained, right? Like, you weren't running miles, but you'd be going out and, like, in the summer, I remember, like, yeah, we'd go work out, but then I'd still go play basketball. I'd still go play
Yeah,
football. I'd
yeah.
still, like, so
Go
you
to the
were
beach.
active all summer. Like, it's not like you were just sitting there being a bum. We did go to the beach all the time, in Jersey, where Dave and I,
Yeah.
we were at the beach 24/7.
So, but you actually bring up a very interesting point because where we coach, we don't usually think of finding enough land to be able to train. So,
Yeah.
what was it like growing up in the city and having like certain limited spaces? Because
Yeah, I
that's
mean, it
something
was
that we haven't
what
really
was good
talked
about
about
it
here yet.
really was, the city blocks. You can measure everything
Right.
by
Yeah.
city blocks because there was no, no GPS watches. I mean, you weren't even Google
No.
Maps wasn't a thing. So, we just had to assume, hey, you ran, 20 city blocks was your mile. I mean, I don't know. That's what I grew up thinking about, right?
Yeah.
So you just kind of knew that's how far you were going, and you just
Yeah.
figure that's what it was. So as you got older, you just more blocks. If you ran more blocks, you were getting better. So, that's kind of how we
I can
put it all
just I
together.
can just see that like as a coach, go out 50 blocks, come back.
And
Was that on your, you
Rich
should have had that on your
was
shirts,
my
more
coach.
blocks, run more blocks,
One more
get
blocks on
better.
the back of his shirt, right? Rich Trions was my coach in high school. Great guy. Not much of a distance oriented guy.
Sure. Yeah.
So a lot of we had, if you ever go to Bayonne, we have an ice rink, and above the ice rink we have our indoor track. It's like a square. But even in the spring, it would be him. All right, you're gonna do 3 threes, you're gonna do 3 fours, and he's talking about laps. However
Right.
many sets of laps. That was his measurement of what we were doing, and that's what it was. So however many laps. So I wouldn't doubt that he probably at some point said, "Go run 30 blocks."
You know
Okay,
what's
No, it
funny?
was funny.
Because I remember just like we had Map My Run when I was in high
yeah.
school. So it would like be like as I'm running around my area, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, put in the memory. I turned at this block. All right. As I'm trying to run hard and put in like a fartlek or something, like a hard tempo run. Like I'm like, all right, I turned here, I turned there, and then I'd go home,
Hey,
like
you get back.
stretch and be like, Ma, get off the computer. I gotta map my run. I gotta see how much I put in. It was insane.
Yeah,
No,
that would have been great. I would have loved to have some type of gauge. Or maybe not. Maybe it would have been worse. I would have been not running nearly
Yeah,
enough.
no.
It would have been,
Yeah, because if you had it, you would have been like, oh, I thought I was running faster. I guess 20 blocks is only 3/4
no,
of
I
it.
would have. No, I had no idea. So it was like bliss. Ignorance was bliss. It was fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you guys were the rare, like, non-neurotic distance runners, probably, because like most distance runners are absolutely neurotic, and even that's like back in like Dave's Stone Age, like they were crazy, and it's like,
Yeah,
so it's
no,
like you guys are just having
not until
fun.
post college that I really start to keep track of things like I do now, and like a lot of these kids do now. Not even till then. Yeah.
So let's get into the meat and potatoes of high school. So even though you have kind of like a non-traditional distance training method, what was your high school experience? So like, was the spark basically that first long run that you did? Was that the whole entire, I think I can do this type of thing and I
Yeah.
want to continue doing it?
Yeah, I think once I realized like this is something that I could be good at, that um I mean, winning and losing aside, like you want to win things, but
Sure,
it was different than baseball and basketball where like your errors can like everybody's watching, watching your errors on the field or whatever. This was something where even if you're mid pack, you're doing a pretty good job, and
Sure. Yeah.
you're getting better. So it was kind of it was a good feeling to be able to watch the times come down. Get medals at meets was obviously a great draw. It's still
Always.
a huge draw for kids to get something tangible out of it.
Yep.
But just being able to do it and thinking, at least at the time, that this was really far or this was really fast. Once we got exposed to the greater running world, then it humbles you obviously a bit, and you say like, oh, okay,
Absolutely.
I'm about here. But at least then you're like, hey, I know I'm at least better than a lot of kids that are walking the hallways
Yeah.
because I can do this and they're not. Either
Sure.
they're choosing not to or they can't do it, and it makes you feel a little better that you picked something that you could excel at. I mean, when we were growing up, our hockey team was like, they were the thing, and that's where you had to be on the hockey team, or who were you, and Again, I wasn't making a hockey team anytime soon, but this is something that I could be good at that they
Sure.
couldn't. So it was pretty cool. Like, it made you feel good, at least, to find your place,
Yeah.
fit in somewhere.
100%. So now I want to bring you down memory lane because we got the spark out of the way. Talk about some of your favorite memories of being a runner from start up until basically when you finished. Are you still going? Like, let's give us some of your best memories you had as a runner.
Yeah, I mean, all through high school. I mean, you're talking like, going back a little ways now. So the minutia is blurry, but I remember it's and just like in college too, you were a ton of your friends all
Yeah.
doing the same thing,
Yep.
and I think we see meets from the other side now as coaches, but I can kind of see what it was like. I remember what it was like when I was that kid, trying to win a meet or trying to win relays, and screaming at your teammates, running around all over the place, bouncing around from different venues. So those are big. That in a nutshell is high school. Because I can't remember specific things about.
I mean, I was
I had a
always
very
jealous of
average high school
I was jealous of the one
experience.
kid in high school that was only coming to do the 4x4 every meet and they just slept until then. I hated that kid. I was so jealous and I'm like, wait a minute, I had to go on a mile of 32 and be in your 4x4 and you're
Yeah,
sleeping the whole meet. This
yeah.
sucks.
I would say at least every, I remember every indoor meet was a triple. Because
Oh yeah.
everybody just
Yeah,
did that.
absolutely. You did.
I
Oh
remember
yeah.
getting all three cards, and I had to run down to the baskets and throw my card myself in the
Oh
basket,
yeah.
and like hope it worked out. I would say a fun memory that I don't think they do anymore. States was at Jadwin Gym indoors.
Yep.
Way
Princeton.
back,
Yep.
and there's two heats of the 2 mile or however whatever they're gonna do, and I think I was seated second in one in the slow heat, and whoever the official was or the announcer was like, how do you want me to say your name? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I ended up winning my heat, and he got to say my name over a loudspeaker. So I was like, oh,
That's
that's
cool.
cool. Like, I got my name and my name said for the three people that were listening. But
I
that
mean,
was like
that's
a
still a
like a, like
great
a
feeling
highlight.
though.
Like, wow, my name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you get done with high school, you go to college. Where did you go?
So I went to
And
Stockton.
oh, nice. Good
When I was
school.
looking at schools, I wanted to be a psych major. So like I tell kids now, like you could go anywhere you want and do that. So it came down to like where could I run? Because I really wanted to continue to run.
Yeah.
And I had looked at Rowan, I looked at Stockton, and I remember emailing the coaches. And Mr. Coach Fritz got back to me and said, "Oh, maybe you could run for us." And Coach Preston at Stockton said, "Yeah, you could run for us." So that's where I went,
Hey,
because all things were equal at that point. It
sure.
really didn't, and it was a good decision. I mean, I was psyched about being there. I met, my best friend there. So that was a great choice for me. I would say Division 3 running as a whole is phenomenal.
Ah,
I
Yeah.
think it's an
Absolutely.
amazing balance of being competitive and having a whole lot of fun.
100%.
So I would recommend that to any kid coming in and thinking about what that future might hold. Is please do not discount what
no.
Division 3 could bring you.
We have
You know,
said that before, like
You get
whether it's
good
Division
coaching
three,
anywhere.
NAIA, D2,
yeah.
D1, even JUCO, like none of that, like go
Matters.
run, go compete because you will definitely be a testament to this being a D3 runner. It's still a job. It's still dedicated. You still are doing your two-a-days. You're still in the
Mhm.
weight room and you're still expected to perform. It's not like if you go out there and shit the bed every single race that the coach is going to be like, well, you're just a D3 runner. It's
Right,
okay.
right.
Like they're going
Yeah.
to hold you. You're a grown man. You're a grown woman. They're going to, their job rests on you still competing at a decent level. Like,
Mhm.
they're getting paid to make you a better runner. And, it's still, it doesn't matter D1, D2,
There's great
D3,
coaches
NAIA,
at
great
every
coaches,
level.
great athletes
For
at
for
every
sure.
level. And, if you're going to jump into it, don't jump into it half hearted just because the division isn't one.
Yeah.
Like,
Right, right.
you still got to work your tail off. And everyone does, especially the
Yeah.
distance runners.
So, coach, what was that change of scenery like going from Bayonne to Stockton? Like, I guess you weren't running
Um,
city blocks anymore.
yeah, now it was all sugar sand trails and like fire trails down there. It was
Yeah.
good. I went and visited like the year before. I had a teammate from college. She went down there. I mean, from high school, she went down there. So I got to go see the school ahead of time and go meet some folks. So getting out of Bay, it didn't matter. I was like, oh, this is an amazing place. Like I'll go anywhere,
Sure.
to not be, commuting to school
Yeah.
into Jersey City or something. So it was cool. It was a big culture shock though, because
Sure.
at the
Yeah,
time
definitely.
you could have an argument on whether or not now Central Jersey exists, and that's fine, however we want to play that. But back then, it was north and south, and you spoke different, you ate different, everything was different.
It
So we
still is,
rolled
okay?
in.
The South is the South is the country, the North is the city, like,
It was a big,
it's what it is.
a lot
Yep.
of that was going down. So it was fun. It was fun,
It's a
but
lot
it was a
more
big.
laid back, you know. I mean, you're down at a Stockton, so you're not far from AC or the ocean.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
things, you know, that are different from what.
And we
Yeah.
wanna give a
used
shout
to.
out to Coach Jason Resch at Stockton doing an awesome
Oh
job
yeah,
over there. Coach Resch is amazing.
Rest of the man.
yeah.
His dad coached me at distance over at Manchester. Yeah,
That's
Tom Resch
cool. Look
was
at
our
that.
distance
Yeah.
coach for like 6, 7 years there.
He
At
was,
least
yep.
he was there for a while, and Tom's amazing. Coach Jay is great there, and did Jay run at Stockton or no? Where
Jason,
did,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
was he there
Mhm.
when you were there or
No,
no?
we didn't overlap. I think like 2 years difference, so he's a little older
Okay,
than me.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just want to give him a quick shout out there. So
Yeah.
you get to Stockton, a little bit of culture shock. Obviously, you enjoy it. What was your Stockton career like? Any good memories,
First two
fond memories
years,
there?
the first 2 years should not even really exist. You go in like again, so you come into that was the beginning of the 2000s, right? So we're just now on like this cusp of like the information explosion of
Sure.
running statistics. So you
Yeah.
start looking up what runners in college are doing, and you only have a frame of mind of what you think you can do in high school because maybe you ran a 5-minute mile in high school, maybe you ran 18-minute 5K in high school. Well, you start doing the math and you're like, oh, I can run the same pace for 5 miles. No, you can't. And it takes a lot of work. So
Yes.
you roll in to preseason like just not having a clue how to be a college runner, and so it was a rough transition. The first 2 years were ups and downs with injuries. I may or may not have been told I shouldn't have been at preseason camp one year. That might have done it to make me get serious about things.
When it's a
You know,
thing too, it's like when you get there, like you're 18 in high school, you're the senior, you think you're a grown man, and then you get to college and there's
Yep.
literally grown men. Like
yeah,
there are
yeah.
20, 22-year-old, 21-year-old, and you're looking and it's like
And you're
you're
like,
back to being a child. Like,
Yeah,
and then
I
it's
was
like,
a little kid. Yeah,
and you
yeah,
don't realize it.
absolutely.
You think you're
and
so cool and you get in there and it's
Well,
like, dude, you're not. Like
well, you're a little kid like that, but you also feel like you're this mature older person because you're not home anymore, and there's no one telling you that you
right.
have to go to bed. So
you're a fake real person.
it's this
Yeah, it's like a
juxtapose
trial run. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I always say college kids aren't real people yet. They are
No,
there
no,
because
it
there's like
was.
negative responsibilities in college. You got to get up, go to class, and make sure you feed yourself. Outside of
Yeah.
that, there's not much more responsibility.
No,
But
and even that's
so,
hard at times. But
oh yeah,
yeah.
doing
So it
doing
was
laundry was
a
terrible.
transition. And then going into junior year, like the summer before junior year started, I ran in the summer with two old high school friends. One of
Yeah,
them ran at Miami, another was at Loyola,
nice.
and these guys were real deal guys.
Yeah.
So we were then now running like 3 times a week together, and I was just holding on for dear life to keep up with these D1 guys, and it worked. And all of a sudden, I rolled in junior year. I went from like a kid who shouldn't have been at preseason to like our number one, number two guy.
That's
And that
awesome.
wasn't, you're talking about like our program at the time. We had a lot of guys really close together. We weren't, blowing the doors off anybody,
Sure.
but it was really cool to roll up to a meet and go 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 15. And
Yeah.
that was our group, so it was pretty cool to then make that jump and like, hey, like now this is a real thing. Like now I can be pretty good at this and like have something to show for the effort. So
So were there
um
some things during sophomore year that made you realize, like, or made you think, like, I'm better than this? I have more talent than this. Like, what am I doing here? Type of deal to get you to go to junior year and say, I need to get serious? Or was it just more of, I'm wasting my time. I just need to get serious and see what I can do? Like,
I
what
think I
was the
thought I was
mindset?
serious then. Like I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew what we should be doing as a team. And I saw some guys around me getting better that I thought I should be near them with them, and I wasn't. And I think honestly, it was me jumping in with my friends
Sure.
coming home in the summer. If I had not hooked up with them, I would have been running on my own in the summer, but it wouldn't have been at that level.
No.
And that's what made me push to that next phase.
Yeah.
So like I give a lot of credit to them, and one I still talk to a lot, about how things are going with our lives now. But
That's great.
had that not happened, I don't know how junior year would have went. And then, rolling into senior year, I had a conversation with my coach about, hey, like this is my team now. So like I went from a kid, like I tell the story to my
Right.
kids a lot, like not belonging there to being a captain of our cross country team. It's a big deal for somebody
Sure.
who had to find their way and find the thing that worked for them. So it was pretty cool. I mean, that was a
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
cool
and then you
stretch.
can think back, like I started off running three city blocks. Now I'm the captain of my college cross country team.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and I always used to
That's
tell,
cool.
like, for my limited time that I coached over at Marist, I would say to, like, the kids, like, if you when you came out of high school, you might have been the best kid in your school, county, conference, even state. When you get to college, everyone around you was competitive at
Mhm.
all those levels. They were at their state meets,
Oh, yeah.
getting top 5, top 3. They were winning their counties, winning their conferences. So it's like it now comes in, and it's that first freshman year, number 1, the training's completely different than you used to, right?
Yeah.
So you need to
It was real.
adjust to train. Exactly. You need
Yeah, it
to
was real.
adjust to training 100%. And that's a transition, right? And all college coaches understand that transitionary period. And then once you get into it, then it's trying to really learn how to race, because you don't know how to race in high school. Very few kids know how to race.
Mhm.
And then you learn how to race, and then it's kind of usually you see that it's you kind of took a normal transition, but it seems like you had a little bit of tough love in there at one point,
Yeah, no, and it was
and it
good. I
was
mean, I'm
needed.
glad, I'll still talk about it like I hated it. Like, I'm, sore about it, but it got me here and it got me to the
Yeah.
position that I'm in, and it gives me good stories to tell the kids that I coach. So it's worth it. I mean, I wouldn't have changed it if I could have.
Sure.
Yeah, I talked to, Dave, we talked to people at meets and
Oh yeah.
getting to know folks about like, well, where did you go? What did you do? And you wonder like, oh, I wonder if I could have done something like that guy's path or whatever. And we're all in the same spot. We're all there Thursday night together doing the same
Yep.
things now. So it really
There's
it
Thursdays
doesn't really
at
matter
the
how you
bubble.
got there. Now you're here. Yeah, now we're here. So, you know.
That's awesome. So you get done over at Stockton. Obviously, you end up finishing off with a solid career. Um, you get done. What was the next path for you? Did
Sure.
you always want to jump into coaching, or was it something? Were you continuing running and kind of competing in 5Ks and things like that, marathons? What were you doing post
Yeah, I
college?
did like the your local circuit, like jumping
Nice.
Yeah,
into races and still training. And an
We
old
all do
teammate of
that.
mine and I
We all
we're
do
like, oh,
that.
we're gonna run. We ran a slew of half marathons from the time we got out of college through the at least 4 or 5 years
you're in the best
after
shape of
that.
your life. It's like, why
Yeah, it
not
was
go?
awesome.
Yeah,
Like
keep
Yeah.
we
going.
can
Yeah,
roll in there like doing nothing, and it
Yep.
was just like this is great. We had this silly idea of running the Philly Marathon, just on a whim. It went fine. I mean, I think I ran like 3:20.
I mean, it's
Um,
flat, so that does help. The Philly
yeah, it was
Marathon's
like, oh,
generally
and it's
flat, so that
it's down the
helps.
road at the time, so it was fine. But the big mistake we made is I think the year later we're like, oh, we're gonna try to go to New York, and you put your name in the lottery,
Right.
and when you get the lottery, you got to do it because
Oh
you
yeah.
Yeah.
then blew a lottery shot. So
Yep.
we
And
got the lottery and did not run nearly enough.
Oh, that's a lot tougher
So it
than
became a
Philly.
sightseeing tour for the most
that's a
part.
harder course.
Um, it's not a like I'll tell kids now, like it's not a place you're gonna race at unless you're at another level. So
You
it
just
was
go
a
to
tough
enjoy it.
that was a tough go.
Yeah.
So maybe down the line I'll get back to that, but yeah. So I was just doing that for a while, and then as you get older, you just fend off injuries, and then you succumb to injuries, and then you just roll through it. So coaching didn't come up until I got out of school and started working in a group home. I was doing like a lot of social work stuff.
Yep,
I
yep.
got into that, and for the next 4 or 5 years or so, I was just running for me and doing social work. So if you know anything about social work, you hit a ceiling very quickly on
Yeah.
where you can go before you go back to school and
Yep.
spend more money to make more money. So we had to sit down. My wife and I were like, "Well, what do we want to do? What are you going to do to move on?" And the choices were, like an LPC, a licensed counselor, or what. And I was tired of going into houses, but I still like working with kids a lot. So I said, let me go back and get my school counselor cert
Sure.
and work in a school. And that is the gateway to all things coaching.
I'll
If
say
you work
this.
in a
I
school,
worked
it's
I worked group home, and group home is tough. It
It's
is
tough.
tough. I was in a group home. I was a direct support professional, DSP.
mhm.
So, it's not easy, because I will say my experience with it, I loved the kids. Like, they were
Oh
tough. They
yeah.
were tough kids. The bureaucracy part of it, which is almost unavoidable in that setting because it's all grant oriented.
hmm
So it's like it's grants and boards that run everything about
Yep.
these types of not for profits that their heart's in the right place a lot of times,
Sure.
but you don't make any money because they're based off
No.
of grants. And being a direct support professional in the care field, I know in New York, it's not considered a career. So you're
Yeah.
paid as if it's just a job, not a career path. So it's like you have like the top people outside of like the board members and big administrators making maybe $30 an hour if they're lucky.
Yeah.
If they're lucky. So it's like, I know people are like $30 an hour, like it's great, but if you're in that position, you're like a house parent, you're, taking care of like a cottage and you're on call 24/7 because there's a lot of fluctuating underneath you with the workers. So nobody really knows what they're doing. So it's like,
Yeah.
I can get on my soapbox. We're just track and field podcast, but I
We
understand
could
why
do this
you
a lot
wanted to
later.
get
I
out of the
can
group
definitely
home.
go over that.
I get why you wanted to get out of that setting.
I mean,
because
the
I got out
highlight,
too.
honestly, the best part of that, and then I transitioned to like a case management company. So the two best parts of that was the flexibility and the hours. You
Sure.
hear I worked a 3 to 11 shift, my first job. So I mean that's rough, but at 23, 24, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Because I could kind of hang out after work and get up at a reasonable time in the morning, still run if I wanted to, and then
Yep.
get to work. So like
Mhm.
timing wise, it was really great. And then even doing case management,
Imagine.
I could travel to go see kids on my way home, stop at the reservoir and go for a run, and then
Sure.
come back to the office and like things like
Yeah.
that. So like there was benefits of it, but then there was just nowhere to go. And then once I decided I'm going to make this transition to schools, I was like, hey, maybe I should like look at like a coaching job. It'd be something to get to do and keep myself kind of relevant in the sport. Because at the time, when you're in high school, you follow high school. When you're in college, you follow college, and then after that, you know, as much as we want the pro scene to be
Yeah.
this great big thing,
It's harder to
really,
follow.
at the time, at least, it wasn't.
It's damn
So
near
nothing was
impossible.
happening.
Well, we lost ESPN on every weekend. ESPN in the morning. If you woke up,
Yeah.
ESPN or ESPN2 had a meet on, and they would cover like a meet, and that went away. And this kind of folds into a question that we just got, Coach. We're gonna jump back to you, but I want to answer this. So on YouTube, the name My World over here ask, how do track runners make money aside from the Olympics? So first off,
You don't.
Work on
so
jobs.
what it is, you have to be successful. Period. You have to be one of the best runners in the world. You have to be notoriety. You have to have a sponsorship from a shoe company, an apparel company. You have certain groups. You have the Brooks Beasts. They're always around. They've been around now. God, they've been around for at least 15 years now. Long time. Nick Simmons started them a while ago. You have Dan Rapcienski on running. You have Hoka 1-1 team. You have Nike always has a team. Adidas has a team. Puma's really active at the pro scene. But it's only a handful. I think Mizuno maybe sponsors some people. I know they were sponsoring Leo Manzano for a little while.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
even
like
if you get sponsored, that's not really
it's
making
not a lot. If you're not a top runner, no,
you're not making a living.
So the best way that pros make money, to answer you, is Diamond League. If you can enter in the Diamond League and compete well, you make decent money. But if you're an American, you got to travel to Europe every single week, except for one time when they have the Diamond League over here in Oregon, in Eugene. So how do we make money? Do you want to know how pro runners make money? And this is, self-congratulatory here. You continue to get people to come to this show to hear our stories, plus supporting Sidious Mag, plus supporting Flow Track. You watch Grand Slam. Make sure everyone watches all 4 Grand Slam meets. And you share. That is the best way. And you try and get everyone else around you to share the sport. Because that's the only way it's going to grow. We have to get interest, which is part of the goal here, which is why we have awesome people like Coach Rapp coming on to tell his story. So we can have a community that gets built and tries to expand outside of that. So people can hear Coach's story and just be like, oh, so I don't have to be this amazing godly runner in order to get a fulfilling career, become a great coach.
And stay involved in the sport.
Stay involved in the sport. So how do you make money? Right now, it's very limited. It is get a good sponsorship, win meets, promote the crap out of yourself on social media, basically at this point. How do we make money in the future? Grand Slam is successful. Ryan Krauser's Shot Put League, we all support it, is eventually successful. Other ventures, if they get off the ground completely, Trackstar over with Kirk Berridge, with Z Athlete, Villages League. We really shout out the ATL. ATL needs to get, I think they need to do a better job of promoting themselves, which is difficult. It costs money, but Dave and I need to be a little more proactive
Running
about
does an amazing job, and they do a huge thing with their crowdfunded like prize money for athletes.
Yeah.
You pay $5.99 for a meet, and like 90% of that goes to the athlete pot. I mean, that's a great system. The only
It is.
downside is it's only on, you gotta stream it, but it's like,
And we shout
yeah,
out Dave Alfano and Charles and Miles and what Charles and Miles is doing,
mm,
and Dave
Yeah.
Alfano trying to put on these great meets with real money involved, right? And I think they just announced that Milrose, any world records, they get an extra $25,000,
Yeah.
which is hard, right? But world records there, just go get whatchamacallit to go and pace you, and you're going to be on point to get a
Sawinski.
world record, huh?
Eric Sawinski.
Yeah, get Zawinski
yeah,
there to
The
the pace
pacer.
you, and you'll be on the. So there is things. The money is slowly coming. We're hearing more of these good pots, legitimate pots for athletes. But we did a whole series with 7 athletes in the series. We had a few more on that were at Olympic trials that were begging for places to, some of them couldn't afford to eat. They had to pay their rent and pay for their training.
Yep.
A lot of people that are at the level of pro are volunteer coaches just so they could use facilities at a college. So it's like, this is a question of we're trying to help here in talking in ovals, but that's how they make money right now. And in the future, it's by promoting anything track that you can see and kind of
Yep.
forcing people to sit down and watch it and freaking enjoy it.
yeah.
That's my answer. Anyone else have anything?
No,
Gotcha.
I think you nailed it. It's a sport that needs people like everybody, all us three. We need these high school kids to show interest and to make it a point to watch these meets, whether it's streaming or something, so that we can grow.
Something, this is an idea, and I don't know if your schools will go for it. You guys should do a freaking watch party for Grand Slam. If you can, like, have it in the auditorium or something, pull down, like, they all have, like, the giant things, and have the athletes come and watch Grand Slam and just
Yeah.
hang out, have popcorn or whatever it is, like pizzas.
That'd be
And
cool.
I don't know what the schools would go for it, but if, a bunch of schools go around the country, there you go. That's viewership is up. And maybe you might get some athletes on the track team that just like track because they're there, the camaraderie that watch it and go, oh, sports dope. Like,
Yeah.
maybe we should watch this a little more. And, that's
Who knows?
I mean, I know
my
I
idea.
send out anything that's
absolutely.
on. I send it to the kids. Like, I shoot them this link got sent to them. Like, anything that's on. I'm like, it's just check this out. I don't know what stations you guys get. I don't know what plans you have, but if you can get this, watch this a little bit. Whatever it is. Just to
That's
try
great.
to hopefully I get
Yeah.
one other kid who wants to check it out.
Yeah.
And it's cool the next day, that kid that you didn't expect probably comes in and is like, Coach, did you see that last night? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you watched it. Awesome. Like,
Yeah.
so,
So,
but all right,
Coach,
so let's get back to you.
you're
Thank
done
you for
with
the question, my world.
Yes. Thank you very much. You're done with college. And
Mhm.
we talked about getting into coaching. How did you find Monmouth, and how has everything
Yeah, what
gone?
was your path?
So I started my counseling career in Asbury, and then I think I literally was just on like NJ School Jobs,
Yep.
and scrolled through and saw, looking for coaching jobs, and Monmouth Regional was hiring. So, I sent my info over there, and Coach Jackie Roach was the head girls coach at the time, and she needed a job, a sprint and hurdle coach, and I did not sprint and hurdle in my career, but I just like to learn a lot about it. So,
You're a
I
track
was like,
coach, and that's
I'm
what
going
we
to go
do.
all in on whatever I can about this.
Just grab the Jack Daniels manual and figure it
Right,
out.
whatever we got to do. So it was a quick acclimation to what they needed. And then we just sort of slowly evolved my role into we got to the cross country season the next fall. I was Coach Roach's assistant in the fall. I think I volunteered a year in the winter, and then we just moved me to the distance group, because that was my wheelhouse, and I wanted to make sure that we all agreed that like I needed to be working with them because I had all that knowledge that I
Sure.
wanted to impart. So really quickly, like our areas shifted to get me into that group. And then ironically, so Coach Roach had left. She had coached with us for a little while and then left to have her son. I took over the head girls job, the head cross country job, and now just this past fall, she's back as my assistant in the fall. Which, so it's really cool that we
That's
come
cool. Full circle.
full circle over the last 10 years. And she, not to get off on a tangent about it, but she pointed out, and we noticed this, her last seasons with us, when she was the head coach, couple years ago, our girls had won a division title in track. And her first season back with us in the fall, our boys win the division title in cross. So I'm like, well, I should wait in 10 years to put
She's
us
a good
back
luck charm.
together so we can get things done. But
So
Clearly,
what she
it's
needs to do is go back on maternity leave and then come back and then do it again. That's all.
right, we
And
gotta
then
keep
next time you
people.
guys just flip.
I
Let her
mean,
be the head for a little bit. And
I think that what we're seeing here is that it's kind of Coach Roach is the good luck charm here.
That's what I say. Yeah, I say it all the time. She was the brains behind it. She saw a lot of faith in me to let me, take control over a program that she had built up.
isn't that
And
terrifying?
then we kind of ran with this. So I'm really glad it worked out that way,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
awesome.
hope we've been doing a good job. We've been doing a good
Oh,
job
yeah.
since. So
So talk to me a
yeah,
little about Monmouth Regional because I'm a little ignorant. I'm a Manchester boy and I've competed against Monmouth a whole ton, but I don't know much about the school. How big? Because I hear regional, right? I think
yeah,
big school.
And you hear
So
Monmouth, you like think all of
I think the whole county,
town.
I think big school, and it's like I competed
no,
against them, and like one of my favorite football games ever was competing against Monmouth. You guys had a really good team back in '07. Your quarterback was a monster, and I just enjoyed playing them, even though they kicked our ass. But it was a fun game, and it was like competing against some Monmouth guys. That was always a good time in on the track. So talk to me a little about Monmouth Regional.
So we're like Dave understands, we're a small school that sounds that like you're right, it sounds a little big. We have two sending districts. We are just around 900 students.
Okay.
So we're solidly in the middle of group two. And I think honestly we hold our own right in the middle of that, if not depending on the year, we move up. We certainly move up to that a little, top five in our group, top eight in the group kind of setting. Um, the kids are kids. They're awesome kids. I do love coaching them. I love the kids in the building that I don't get to coach. They have amazing personalities. They bring a whole host of life to them every day in school. So I'm glad that I get to have that opportunity to be with them every day. Do I want more of them out on our team? Absolutely. I'm really glad the ones that we have are the ones that we have. So
Yeah.
we do a lot with the few kids that are brave enough to come out and do the
Sure.
things that we need them to do, for sure.
I love it. So I want to get to this over here. Another comment we appreciate it from Jetman5. What are the meets like in college compared to high school? So, coach, I'll let you start with this one. What is the difference between high school and college meets?
So now my personal experience is going to be a lot different than maybe today's experience,
Yes.
but I've been to a lot of former athletes' college meets, and I can tell you right now, if you're a high school track and field kid, and then you move on to college track and field, the stress level is it's a completely different thing. And I don't
Yep.
mean it one's more or less. They're just very different. Um,
100%.
in high school, it's quite literally a three-ring circus with a lot going on and a lot of things getting shouted left and right. In college, it's much more organized in terms of a
Yeah.
time schedule, where you need to be, when you need to be, but the level at which you're competing at is far, for most of us, far
Yep.
beyond what we've experienced in high school. So I remember, and it's still today, like just everybody's yelling at you at a high school meet, where you need to be, where you need to go, why are you over here, where's this, where's that. In college, it's get to the line. This is what time you have
Yep.
to be there.
It's
And so it's a
expected.
lot more independent.
Yep.
Um, and it flows a lot nicer, but you're now have that added pressure of this is you thought you were big time then. Even our top programs were you think you're big time then, this is really a big deal now. And so that's the difference in terms of pressure.
I just remember, in high school when you got your name on the big board, that was cool, right? And that was fun. And even everyone else, like you're looking at all the times and they're pretty good, right? In college, I remember being at BU and like I was running an 800 and I probably like there was like 20 heats, 15 heats over either Valentine or Terrier because it's always massive. And
Oh
then
yeah.
you're looking up and it's like I ran in the low heats because I sucked. So I'm like sitting there maybe running like a 157 if I'm lucky. And then all of a sudden you get to heat 10 and it's like 151. It's like, wait, there's still nine more heats and that's what these guys are running. Like it's you
It's
sit there and
insane.
it's just such a different
Hmm.
level. And I think, your thing is the stressor is different. And so I think also the main difference is in high school, it's fun. Even when you're good, it is fun. In college, like I said to coach before, it becomes a job.
Sure.
And sometimes that becomes because you know, you don't have to go to everything in high school. What's the worst that's going to happen to you, right? Like, coach might kick you off the team. Okay, whatever. In college, you choose to be there. You're paying there. You
Hmm.
wanted a spot on that team. So if you're a distance runner, you're doing doubles 2, 3 times a week. You're waking up in the morning doing 3, 4, 5, and then you're doing real practice later, maybe another 6. You're lifting if you're a sprinter 2, 3 times a week, getting up at 5:30 to be there at 6. So it's a very different atmosphere
Sure.
and you're an adult. So like you make your own choices, but also no one wants to go to these high level meets like we're explaining and go and drop a 54 in the 400 when you're a collegiate runner. Like you want to go and be minimum sub 50 and feel good about yourself because that's the college level. So it's a competition level is what I
Yeah.
think is
Yeah.
like the main difference. Dave, what about you?
No, I mean, yeah, everything that you said, it's a big step up in competition. And, I probably wasn't ready for that step up because I didn't have a great college, journey because I just never got to that level. And I had to decide that I wasn't going to run anymore. But I
Yeah.
think now it's changed because there's so many more meets now, and there's so many opportunities that you don't have to be the best of the best. There's still places for everyone to run. But yeah, it's definitely I think the big thing that you said is like you choose to be on that team. You
Yeah.
you do in high school too, but
It's
this is
different.
a choice that you made that you
Hmm.
didn't. So
And it's
It's a big commitment. It's a big financial commitment if
yes.
you're not on any type of financially
sure,
scholarship situation.
absolutely,
So like you put a lot into this choice. It's not just I already
100%.
have to go to this school because I live there, so
Yep.
I'm going to be in an activity. This is a huge decision that you made.
For the rest of your life
For
too,
the rest of your life, right? I mean,
with your
yeah,
degree too. Yeah.
yeah.
And another thing I will say, like Jetman 5, I don't know anything about you. If you're gonna go run in college, enjoy it as well, because I don't think I enjoyed seeing some of the special things that I saw, being indoors at times and watching, a collegiate woman break 2 minutes in the 800, or, taking for granted that guys are just gonna run sub 4 at the magic carpet and be you. Like enjoy those types of things,
sure,
realize what you're seeing. I get sub 4 is not what it used to be, right? We have like 90 people that do it every year. But while you're there, enjoy what you're watching. Like, take it in, even if you're not the top guy or girl, take it in because you're seeing some special stuff and you're seeing future pros probably in there. And maybe you're going to be one, but enjoy it. Enjoy it, because in high school you see some special stuff, but man, you go to some college meets, it's a different animal and it's lots of fun. But coach, let's get back to you. Thank you for the question, Jetman. Um, so you've been coaching for a little over a decade, 12, 13
Mhm.
years, you said, right? What has changed since you started to become a coach up
sure.
until this point? Like, what have been the big differences that you have seen in terms of everything, basically?
I mean, just if you look at just how we coach, I think that's a huge evolution. Most of us when we start out doing, I would say any sport really, but running in particular, what do you know? It's what you've done and what your coaches have done, and so that's your entire knowledge base, and it's not
Yeah.
wrong or bad. It's just it's a limited skill set that you have, and then as you start to get involved with it and you start meeting people and networking, your everything changes and your access to information from when I started to now is just it's unreal. I mean, you can watch any kind of workout you want. You can YouTube anything. So the level that we now have to work at to get the kids prepared is unreal compared to when I was in high
Oh, yeah.
school.
Do you feel like you're
So
working harder since you started in
um
the beginning, or are you working smarter as you become more of a veteran?
I I want to say a little bit of both. I mean,
Yeah,
I think you have to work harder because there's more expectation. The kids come in with more knowledge of what's possible. So as a coach, you want to try to give them as much tools as you can
Yeah.
to get them to that point. I mean, they have to be realistic too about what
correct.
their ceiling might be like, but I'm expected to at least have the ideas and the things we're going to try to get them to this next level. I mean, the
Yeah,
kids will dream up anything
sure.
when they see times, qualifying standards or cutoff marks that they need to have, or where they need to finish as a team to move on to the next thing. Like they have plans and goals. So if it's not our job to get them there, then what are we doing? So
Agreed.
it is hard. We have to work a lot harder, I think, because we're all working a lot harder. So I can't just roll up against One and be like, well, they're going to lay down, like Dave's not working
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
Of
no.
course he is. Like, he's trying to do the best he can
Yeah.
to get his kids in the best position. So because we're all doing that, it's all harder.
Yeah. And
I would love to see a meet on the J. Can you roll up to Manasquan and have a meet on the J over there and
hey,
just
man,
have your
200s
distance
all
runners
day.
go and let's
200s.
have that.
No, but I mean, to reiterate what Coach said, I agree. Because I took up about a 10-year break in coaching, and coming back now, definitely the knowledge that the kids have is that they're so much more aware of their own bodies and what training
Yeah.
that they feel works for them, because there's just so much more of a wealth of information out there. It's crazy. And, I didn't realize when I started coaching that you also need to be a specialist in social media. I mean, that's a huge
Oh,
difference
yeah.
now.
It is huge.
Like kids want their, they see other teams. So you have to make sure that you promote your kids. And I'm all for it. It's just something that is way different than when I first started to coach years
Find that
ago.
alumni or student that's a graphic artist, and there you go.
Yeah,
You're set,
that's what we do.
because that's how they'll help. So, have you found yourself, Coach, kind of, because I always remember when I was there, and even as I was coaching, you lean on your seniors and juniors a lot, like, because they are the ones that are going to help you establish your
Sure.
program, your culture. But now, like you said, they're coming in with so much more knowledge. When it comes to your workouts, obviously you have a plan and everything, but do you sometimes, when you're getting your season ready, do you talk to some of your seniors and captains about certain things? Because they're obviously coming in with a lot more knowledge, because Strava has everyone's workouts in the whole entire country on their freaking watch in their phone. So are you leaning on them a little more for certain ideas and things like that? Or is it more of, hey guys, I'm evolving with you. Please still
Sure.
trust my program. Like, if you have something, tell me. You know your bodies. That's always been a rule. But in terms of programs, it's still like, guys, can still me. Like, still me. Let's still do what I
Yeah,
want to do
I
type of
think
thing.
You have
it's
to
a
establish that.
double-edged sword. We run into this problem of, this is what everybody else is doing. We have to do this too.
Right.
And I have to sometimes remind the group, we are not Newbury Park. We are not CBA.
Nope.
We are who we are. And this is, you got to look at it like, I'm not driving the car. I'm giving you the directions, right? So we're all trying to get to the same place. How we get there is going to be different routes, right?
Sure.
So
Yep.
I absolutely, and I tell the kids this all the time, like, this is a team. We are on a team. I might be the one that has to sign you up for races and put stuff in, but we are doing this together. I want their feedback and I want their input. And some kids are very quick to give it. Some kids understand what they're telling you a lot quicker than other kids. But I want that feedback. I want to know what they like, what they don't like, what they think they're good at. I'm going to still do the things that they don't like and the things that they don't think they're good at, because it all has a place.
Yep.
But I think there's times to make sure that they're feeling good about what they're doing and they have some ownership over what the process looks like. So part of it is understanding what you're working with and who you are, and helping kids understand that, you are not like every other runner that you see on Strava, other runner you see on Instagram and YouTube. You're not. You're you, and you're going to be great at what you need to do.
Sure.
So that's a process in itself, But
Quickly, how do you handle, because every once in a while the small schools and stuff, and you frequently, actually, I do want to say, you can cultivate and find that kid that can mix it up with the Newberry, and can mix it up with the CBA boys, like, and things like that.
Sure, absolutely.
How do you handle them? Because obviously you want to not let them train alone, right? They still need to train with the group, because training alone sucks, right? Sometimes they have to do it, right? Because it's like, okay, this workout you have to go do on your own. Like, you're at this level. But like, how do you explain to him when he's looking at the workouts going, Coach, I just ran a 4:17. I'm right with them. Like, I'm a few steps away. I need to get to them. Like, how do you handle that? Because I feel like it's not like it's harder, because every coach has a difficult job motivating, making workouts. But I feel like at times when you are that small school and the rest of the kids are maybe 4:45, 4:30, and then you have this stud who's running 4:20 and change, and it's like, how do you sit there and figure out both of those? Like, that's got to be really hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the motivation, I'm a big proponent of I can't motivate a kid to do something. We don't motivate. The motivation comes from their desire to do something that they want to do. I can only give them that encouragement. Their teammates give them that encouragement. So it's building that team. Like I have a
Yeah.
guys team right now that are ridiculously close. In terms like they do everything together. They start every run together. They don't always finish every run together,
Right.
but they do everything together. And
They
they
better
have
not
figured
finish every
out.
run together when you have
Well,
them
yeah,
going hard runs. They
yeah,
better not.
right. Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want, some kids can't, they
Right.
can't yet. They're not
Sure.
there yet. But
Yeah.
they've understood that this is how the whole program is going to get better. Is
Yep.
you are going to hang on as long as you can, and for better or worse. I sometimes I'm into that, sometimes I'm not. But I think when we have that there's one or two guys that are a bit ahead of our pack, and you'd see it last year and this year. I did have some splintering in my result. I
Right.
had one or two guys last year way ahead, and then I had a tight pack behind them, and they don't care. That doesn't matter. It's how
That's
far
awesome.
apart were we all?
Yep.
Was my 1 through 7? How far apart were we? And they bought into that system. What I did struggle with is over the years, I've had some pretty standout girls over the last 10 or so years. And that got a little tougher because my girls team has always been much, much smaller than the boys team. And so when you only have 5 girls and one is top 8 in the state and the rest aren't, the difference in that kind of ability creates a huge concern, because now how do I get these other girls to support this one kid who never can run? She never runs with them. You know what I mean? So I ran into that problem a lot in years past. And that's when I then go back to all the other things about running that are great, not just workouts. Like the workouts
Yeah.
are really secondary because they're going to get them done. They're going to do them at a high level, and we're going to make that progress, physically. It's everything else that we have to support to keep this team
Sure.
functioning. And without that, no, I don't think it matters if you have a 420 kid, a 415 kid, a 410 kid. If you don't have a team behind them to support them, they're going to be miserable. And you might get them, to the next level. You might get them moving on, but they're not going to look back. They're not going to come on a podcast 10 years from then
No.
and talk about how great it was. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I ran 415 in high school, and then like I went to college. So
Right.
that's how I think you do that when you have
Sure.
one or two outliers.
So it's building a culture. Basically, what you're saying is that culture, that unity is just so important, especially for like the distance crews, right? Like sprinters are a little more like they're good friends, but sprinters, it's very much it's quick, it's done. The pain that distance runners go through that they have to work through is different in terms of the camaraderie that's built. And it's why I usually say cross country is like a cult. And it's not in a bad way, a cult, but that they're just so super freaking close. But I think that's exactly, you hit it on the head, that the culture
Sure.
is incredibly important. So have you found it harder or easier to build a culture when the technology has arisen? Because I'd imagine like 10, 12 years ago, it was a different world. A decade ago, there wasn't, yes, Facebook was there, Twitter was around, but it's not what it was, not what it is now, where
Right.
like being in the phone is everything, right? We're sitting here in 3 different places throughout the Northeast right now having a podcast. Like it's such a different world
It is.
that we're in. So have you found that culture, have you had to adjust the way that you want to build a culture, or have you kind of stayed true to how you want to continue to build that?
I think I know what I want. I don't know if I figured out how to even do that yet, which isn't a bad thing. I think, every group of kids are different.
Yeah.
I have a big group of seniors this year between the boys and the girls, and they're all saying, "Oh, is it going to be tough? Are you going to miss us? Are you going to?" And I laugh because I'm kind of like, "Well, yeah, kind of," but I miss kids every year. Every year, kids leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not like I don't, but every year it's a new thing, and it's a new group. It's a new personality. Everything's new about it. So um, I want to say that we are always moving in that direction towards the team we want to have, towards the culture we want to have. But I think that has to evolve because everybody's different. If I'm lucky enough to get 5 freshmen in next year, that's a huge majority of the team now. Now I
Yeah.
will be mostly freshmen. So whose culture is that? Well, I have to work with them just as much as they have to work with our group
Yep.
now and make a new system, a new thing. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you can have tradition and you can have a style that you sort of stick with, but who they are is not going to be who your kids were 2 years ago.
Right.
That's awesome.
So
Yep.
social media aside, technology aside, that's just how kids are coming in. And so,
Yep.
I don't really know what we've been doing. I credit more to kids than
Absolutely.
anything that I've been doing, for sure. I mean, they
Sure.
figured it out and they bought into it and they convinced each other that this is the life they want to have and this is the expectation that they have for each other. So it's mostly them. I mean, they I guess they put the trust in me that I'm doing something right about it, but they are the ones who get it done. So
So, Coach, you talk about culture and how important it is. What was it like for you and your team this past fall to win the division title in cross country? Like, how
Yeah.
was that? Like how did the boys feel? How did you feel as a coach? I mean, at that point, you have the athletes, you have parents who invest. I think sometimes the parents are forgotten because they put in so much time and effort too, and without them, as a coach, it'd be so hard to do what we do. Just the fact of like bringing snacks to every meet, like,
yeah.
so like, what was that moment like when these kids who worked so hard and under your tutelage this fall take home that division title in
So it's
X6?
funny. I think just to go to the parents real quick. I have an amazing group of parents. Coaches can tell you stories of
Sure.
parent interactions, and I've not. I can't remember a scenario where that's happened, where a negative story has happened with me and a parent.
That's awesome.
I have an amazing group of parents who I will say will bend over backwards for their kids, for what we need to do. We go all over the place in the summer. They get them there, without blinking an eye. And I tell them every end of the fall how much I appreciate it, because I think
Sure.
it's the only way we've ever gotten things done. Um, Going to the division, I think the parents were a lot more excited, I think, than the team and us. I don't know why. I think they were way more thrilled and I guess surprised. I don't know. I have one dad who's doing score on his phone,
Love it.
right away in real time. Like, I can't do that. So that's kind of, I look at him like
Hey.
points and he's
Yep.
like 55. I'm like, okay. So they were all into it. The
6'7".
parents were all into it. The team, the boys were like 2 points off last year's division, and we thought that was our team. We thought that was going to be the group that did it, and we were short by 2 points, and it was like, like, we couldn't have done anything different. There was that was it. So then, just because access to information, we go into the season and they already were figuring out what they need to do, who needs to run what these other teams are looking like. So, not to discredit anybody in our division, because I think we have a pretty tough division.
Sure.
They kind
Every
of knew.
division's tough. Yeah, they're all freaking
Yeah, I mean,
tough. Everyone's like you said, everyone's working their tail off to get to that
Oh,
level
absolutely.
to
Yeah,
prove
yeah,
something when they get to those
it's
division
not a
meets.
joke by any
Yeah,
means.
no.
But the kids kind of knew. They were like, if we just do the things that we plan to do, we should be good. And that's kind of what happened. So I don't want to say it wasn't exciting. It wasn't a surprise that we won. I think we knew that should have happened, and it would have been a mistake if it didn't. Something would have had to gone wrong. But for me to watch most of my boys team finish in the top 10,
That's a
yeah, I
coach's
mean,
dream right
we have
there.
5 teams in the division, 8 teams in the division, so it's not like we have 200 runners on the
No.
field, but it's like, and we wear pink jerseys. I don't know if you guys, we wear
Oh, yeah.
bright pink
I love
in
it.
the
I
in
freaking
the
love it.
fall. So for me, it's just like, maybe RBC would have had white and Shores white, and then it's pink, and then it's like one white and then pink, and I'm like, this is so cool. So that through the whole season was what we did. It was just how close could we get together. So the excitement was just seeing them together, and all the results are the results. If it is what it is, but
Yeah.
it's more seeing them together and then looking at their parents, looking at them
Parents, yeah.
talk to each other about, like, oh, we were 38 seconds apart. Like, that
That's
is
a
the
memory.
coolest thing
Yeah.
that I think we've ever done. I don't know if it's been like, I can't go back and look at old results from the 80s and 90s. Like, we just don't have those kind of stats. But I don't know. Has anybody been 38 seconds in Monmouth? I have no idea, but we're gonna say they haven't, because it's
That is a
so cool.
great
Like,
split, man.
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
like,
hey.
it's pretty cool. And
split.
we've done it like 3 times. So it wasn't even like a fluke. Like, they
Yeah.
just tried as hard as they could to be as close together as they can.
Right,
So
but-
that's how we did it. And
But even like, he said, all the kids talking before the season, they still had to go out and do it, and you still
Yeah.
had to get them ready for that day, and so kudos to you, to the kids, to the parents, man. There's nothing better than winning something, especially you were saying that it had been a long time, right? It's like since
Yeah,
the
I think it was. I was mistaken. We have banners that hang in the
sure.
gym, and cross country never has any. Not CBA aside, like it's somewhat of the recognition that the kids get. And I could have sworn we didn't have a banner. And then one of the kids was like, "Yeah, it's from like 1993," and I'm like, "All right, well, let's iron on some more numbers. Like, let's give it a shot." So like,
Awesome.
we kind of really wanted it because it was just something else that we could talk about at school and say like, "Listen,
Yeah,
this is what these kids are doing,"
and
um, and get their names out there. Get somebody to at least like,
absolutely.
oh,
I
like
mean, that's great. 30
you
years
know,
later, that they almost 30 years to the
yeah,
day, like
almost, yeah,
like
yeah.
30, was it 32 years that
31,
you
yeah.
guys, and then you got it. Like that's really cool stuff that you were able to do that. And one thing that I do love, and Dave's like this, all the great coaches that we talk to, you guys take no credit. It's like, it ain't me. I don't do anything. I just kind of show up and say things. It's all the athletes, it's all the parents. And it's like,
Absolutely.
that's the best
Hmm.
coaches,
We had
because
our
you
time.
guys just go there and do your job. And you guys, you know, you're humble, and you obviously know what you're talking about. You wouldn't have wanted to embrace being the head coach of boys and girls, young men and women, if you didn't have confidence in yourself. But you don't need to talk about it. I'll talk about it for you. All right, like, and I love that. That's number one. Number two, what all I'm hearing here from coaches, if you're either a Monmouth junior, sophomore, freshman, or any junior, sophomore, freshman here, realize that your seniors you're looking up to right now are gone next year. This is fun this year. This is their culture that they're helping build with the coach, but you guys establish the future. So you
Yep.
guys are the leaders already. Like that's the young kids need to realize they're like, you're already the leaders. You're not, you need to realize that you're going to be the ones that set the standard. If you want to continue a great program, it's not up to Coach Rapp. Coach Rapp can say the same thing every year, blue in the face. But if you guys don't respond and continue to do it, then it's going to fall apart. So realize, even as a young, it's a lot to put on a 14, 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, but it's the reality of being an athlete and being in that spot. And lastly, I want to get to these few comments. It says Darren Peters kind of echoes a little bit. When you are building the culture, coaches' speeches and what you glorify helps them dream about how they expect to perform. That's from The Authentic Runner. It's a book by
Hmm.
Coach Tim Butler, and it's an excellent resource. Darren always coming in with amazing comments. Darren, we're going to talk later because your time in the spotlight's coming soon, Darren. And also, Plants Aboard Metro Moon, Coach Rapp is the best. So love that. I love seeing that type of stuff. I love seeing the support.
Oh, listen, there's nothing better than we have on a coach, and the athletes come and get comments. It
Great.
just it holds true to the culture that you're talking about, and it's just great to see like so many great coaches out there. Like we are at a time, especially in New Jersey. I mean, there's so many amazing coaches. It's just so fun to watch
It's
them in
crazy.
action every week. It's a blast.
Yeah, it's hard to have that old school coach that just kind of was like taking the stipend and helping out. And like you said, the coach in Bayonne that just kind of grunted at you to go run circles. Like, you can't really get away with that as much anymore, because the program, like, you can. I guess you could do it, but it's like the programs do lack. It does hurt the kids, as opposed to, you don't have to be a track runner. You don't have to be like Dave, Coach Rapper, myself. You could be like someone, like we bring him up. I don't know if he ever listens, but I'm going to embarrass him again. Thomas Scheffler. Tom Scheffler is one of the greatest coaches I ever had. Tom Scheffler was by no means a distance runner. If you ever seen Tom Scheffler, he is built like a brick S house. Because he was a Division I wrestler over at West Virginia,
But he
and he
cared.
was a big guy. But you know what though? When he was
Passion
a coach, it wasn't a stipend. It was, I want to be great. And he coached cross country teams, and he coached distance.
and
And he was
jumps.
a big factor for why I, wanted to continue to be great in the sport. And then he went to jumps, and then he just does everything. So you don't have to be directly involved in the sport to be a great coach. You just have to care and learn. And again, pick up the Jack Daniels book and read that end to end, and you'll know what you're doing. But so before we jump out of here, we've been going for a little while. We could talk for like 9 hours about track, but I just want to let you kind of wrap it up with currently the state of the sport, college and pro level. You say you still pay attention a decent amount. where do you feel like we're at in terms of, obviously we had a successful Worlds almost 3 years ago now, really the best Olympics possibly in the history. Now, we always talk about capitalizing on that,
Mhm.
but where do you feel we are with collegiate, with the NIL, with Grand Slam in the pro and Diamond League and more things coming on? Where are we as a sport?
I think, I mean, yeah, we had an amazing Olympics,
Yeah.
which sparked the interest. I mean, I had kids
Yep.
throughout those 2 weeks, messaging me back and forth, like, you know, talking about results and did you see this? Did you watch that? And sometimes I had to catch it on DVR, like I wasn't home. Don't tell me anything, So that certainly helps drive the interest. I think with collegiate athletes and some high school athletes, like the exposure that they then get because of NIL just lets kids that they're of their own age feel like they're reachable,
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
track and field and in general has always been very accessible to fans. For the most part. I mean, you can go to you go to meets and you hang around meets after the thing's over and you know sit and shake hands with folks and
Yeah.
people come up to the stands. So this just gets another layer of access, I think, to younger kids. And then when they can start to see a little bit of themselves in this other 18, 19, 20-year old, yeah, you might not be at that level athletically, but it's somebody that you can have a connection with
Sure.
and follow their career. I mean, just like we all did. I mean, I talk it. You had Craig Siegel on a couple
Yeah.
episodes ago, and him and I will go back and talk about, the Kennedy Nike shoes and the
Oh,
different
listen.
colors
Yeah.
that we had, and like that's who we followed when we were
The
kids.
Bob
Yeah,
Kennedy
yeah.
poster was
That's
in
who it
my
was, right?
arena.
Everyone
Yeah.
had the Bob
So
Kennedy Nike poster. Everyone.
now you can, there's dozens of people
Listen,
that you can follow their career, and so
do you know how many kids that I when I was coaching when Sydney was in high school who now
Mhm.
watch her, who don't even run anymore, but they became fans because they were at a high school track meet where she ran.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
just her, like her just being at those meets in high school and kids just being at the meet. She had fans for life now, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And you
I
said
think
you
it's I think
wanted to
it's
talk
hard.
to
Like,
like the
sorry.
common person. One of the things you want to talk to is basically the common person that come out and watch a meet, right? And it doesn't have to be like, don't stay, like you said, you don't have to stay all 12 hours. Come out to support a friend. And while you're
Mhm.
there, watch the other amazing athletes because you'll probably see something special. Doesn't matter any of the invitationals, you'll see something special and you'll hear the crowd roar. And if you don't know what's going on, ask someone, be like, what just happened? And they'll tell you. And hopefully it hooks you.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's probably the most lacking, at least in meets that I go to, that me and Dave will get to, is the information to fans, to
Yeah,
parents, to friends. They
at the high
don't
school, no,
have.
no,
Yeah, there's minimal announcing. The results are tough. And it's not any fault really. It's just this is how the high school system's set up, and we
sure,
don't
Yeah.
have that kind of play by play, so to speak. A couple of years ago, we were at Monmouth County Champs outdoors, and Todd Briggs is on the mic,
Todd's amazing.
literally doing play by
Todd's the man.
play
Yeah, he's the
in
best.
a
Love Todd. Yeah.
mile, in a 2 mile, in the 100. Like, it
Well,
was super exciting, but he did not coach the entire meet. There's
But
no
it's
way he
so
could have done
hard to
both. So,
but
like,
know all
that's
the
why
kids
kids
as
love.
well.
right,
But
right. It's a
that's why
huge undertaking.
it is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's why kids love it going to the home dome meets that had the nights of the
Yeah,
miles
Twilight meets. Yeah.
because like it's just them, and it's fun, and it's a way where they can get their name out. Those meets are an absolute blast. But yeah, right. Like
Oh,
if
for
we,
sure.
like I don't know, it's if we don't catch on now, because I think the big thing coming is that the Olympics are in LA. They're in the US. So we have 3 years
Yeah.
after France to just keep it going. And I think MJ's league is going to be monumental in that he's getting everyone big, and I think that's going to be huge. I would like to see first what channel that it's going to be on, but
Yeah, I think the built-up window we have between now and the Olympics to get things done, and not in a sense where we're inundated with it, because that's never going to happen. But
Oh, it
just we're
will,
not
damn it. Our
oversaturating the
goal is
market.
we're gonna do it, damn it. We're gonna
Right.
make
Like,
sure
we
track and
we're not
field's the
going to be
biggest sport in the country.
oversaturated with track in the next 3 years, but we have this window where you can just start building, and then all of a sudden we're home. We're home in this big stage. So if companies, if the sponsors can get on board with that and get their get their athletes out there to the kids. I mean, that's where it's going to be. I mean, you're not going to pick. I don't think you're going to pick up a casual fan who's I don't know, older than me, maybe, but like you're gonna hook the
Sure.
kids
The
for
Have
nerds, yeah.
to.
something,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what it's gonna be. I mean, my wife watches track with me because she doesn't have a choice.
Same here.
Same thing with
But
mine.
she knows now. I mean, she can tell you who runners are. She knows how many laps different events are. But that's because she got stuck with me doing it.
Same here.
It's now how do you get the next group in, and
Yeah.
it's this window of time we have.
I
Absolutely.
got my daughters hooked because some of the athletes that we had on the show were at trials. So I had trials on and I was like, Daddy interviewed them.
Oh yeah.
And like
Mhm.
we had Hope Bender on the show who's a multi-athlete over there. And so they got to see Hope 7 times in different events. And it was like pretty cool for them. Like,
Yeah.
Daddy talked to her. Like it
Mhm.
was really cool. And it kind of my older daughter likes it now. If I have track on, she'll sit down and be like, who's racing? Who did like, and it's fun. And yeah, and it's I hope that one day we can get to that point where you're going and it's like, hey, Grand Slam's on tonight. What you want to come? Like, let's go to the bar and watch it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be there. Like
That'd be cool.
one day that it gets there. But I'm excited as a nerd to watch Cole Hocker win the 15 one week, Yard win, Josh Kerr win, and then Jakob Ingebrigtsen
Come
not
in
do a
as
challenger at all for the first 3, challenge the 4th one and just blow their doors off. And just because I want Ingebrigtsen to blow their doors off one time because he has earned it a few times and gotten past late. Like he needs to.
I think that's the drama though. That's the
It is.
can he do it?
Love it.
And then you watched it to see if it happened, and it didn't, and then you're drawn in. I mean, that's the story,
It
and
is.
then the 2 of them just going back at it,
Well, that too,
create the
like
story.
I
It's like what we see in football. I mean, the
Yep.
guys are going
I-
to jaw at each other.
Drawing at each
We
other.
don't have much of that.
Yes.
This is a cool thing to.
I always say we need more of the shit talk. Let's Seal Tabejo going at Noah Lyles. And I called out Let's Seal when he was like, I'm not the type of flashy guy. As he's making fun of a dude at a podium. Like, yeah, you are, bro. You're a sprinter. You have cocky, you have
Sure.
that moxie and you
You
should.
have to.
And you should. And I love what Noah Lyles does. I know people don't like him. It's like, I don't care. People know who Noah Lyles is.
He is
They
bringing
will watch
eyeballs.
a race.
Yeah.
Sha'Carri Richardson. People will watch Sha'Carri because she had that controversy and she's like outspoken, and she's a fantastic runner. So
Yeah.
we need more of that. We need less niceties. And I always joke around with some of the runners. It's like that we have on the show. It's like pretend to be mad at them. Like talk to some of your friends and say, hey, we're just gonna have a bitter rivalry for like the whole year. Like do it. Who cares? Like we had Kira D'Amato on. It's like just get on the line and just like start shit talking someone for fun. Like, let's do it. So I want to Coach Torchia coming in. Danny does an absolutely outstanding job. Great coach and great guy. Thank you, Coach Torchia, for always watching the show.
Thank
We
you, Carl.
appreciate you
that.
very much.
Absolutely.
And let's avoid the Noid coming in saying hi, Rap. So-
Hey.
But all right, so we've been going for a little while. We appreciate all your time, Coach.
Absolutely.
We are gonna let you get out of here. Do you have anything? Well, I'll put up the plugs up here. You have a few social media things that you guys take care of there.
Yeah. I mean, the kids run our Instagram, which is awesome. They do a great job with that, and it keeps them involved. Obviously, hopefully for the long term. I would just say, like, if anybody needs anything from me, if you want to at the bottom of this thing, you can put my school email somewhere in the little description or whatever, and then if people have questions or stuff, like. I can answer a lot of things, school stuff, running stuff. Like I would be happy to be a resource for whoever needs it.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
we
Coach,
I'm gonna grab that.
thank you for hopping on. It's always great seeing you at the meets. We have our little Thursday night soirees, as I call it. I feel like we're at the bubble every Thursday, and I'll see you then again in this Thursday. But I mean, we just appreciate you coming on. You do an absolutely outstanding job, and best of luck for the foreseeable future.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much for having me. I was a little nervous coming in. And this was a very
You did a great
first for me,
job.
but I'm really happy I did. It was awesome. Thank you for letting me get my feet wet in it.
Listen, anytime we can get on someone from the state who has passion and cares and just wants to make this sport better for everyone involved, it's a no-brainer. I would love to have every coach on.
We have to do another coaches roundtable. We have to get a few more, and because we did one back ago, and this is back when Dave and I sucked at this. So now we're actually decent at it. So we can have a coaches roundtable and do it pretty well. It was just fortunate that every other coach there was like Dave's best friends from college, so they helped out because they're freaking awesome. But yeah, no, we have to have you back on at some point. We
Yes.
appreciate having you
Thank you.
on. You're awesome. I could definitely see why you have the athletes that want to run for you. You know, there's a certain type of thing that you get from the great coaches that, athletes obviously want to compete for. And you guys all have a similar type of just way that you guys carry yourselves, and Dave included. So it's cool to just see, and it's awesome to wear a magnet for the great coaches to come on here and share their wisdom and their stories. So we appreciate that. We appreciate everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for commenting. We always appreciate that. Anywhere where you are watching, whether it's YouTube, whether it's X or Facebook, we appreciate it all. Go do your due diligence, like button, subscribe, repost, all that good stuff, follow, shares. If you're listening via podcast form, thank you as well on X or on, not X, on Spotify, iTunes, wherever it is. We appreciate it all. Definitely leave us a good review there. And we will be back next week with another great show. Donovan Ashton says me next. Donovan Ashton, Talking in Ovals on X. Go send us a DM. We'll talk. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys later. So long, y'all.